everyone. All right, I am speaking with Colin. Many of you wanted to know. Many of you wanted to have him on to talk about Voxtur attorney opinion letter. So, Colin, let's have a talk about this. What are your thoughts? Happy?
Oh yeah, of course I mean, it's a huge. Listen, it's a big deal. Um, uh, it's the first time there's been a change to um, title insurance in 75 years or some such a number. I mean, it's quite a long time. So the fact that it's happening. And it's we saw the writing on the wall with the Fannie Mae report and the FHFA report. They said here are problems, so they knocked down the appraisal first by allowing desktop appraisals. So that's helping with speed and efficiency. And now they highlighted that closing costs, one of which was appraisal, and the other one being title insurance. And so they're dealing with it. And so I think the first, and they're rolling it out in a fairly methodical way, which I also think is a good thing. So the first, as of April 1st, the first states that are taking it are Florida, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Texas. So those are sizable states. And they're doing it for houses up to $1 million, which is a lot of houses. I mean, that's a lot of property. So I think it's good. And I think, I think yesterday the stock rallied based on the industry information. And today, I think it was a bit disappointing that we closed flat, but, we cranked through a ton of paper today. I think we did over, did we do over 4 million? Well, I don't know. We'll probably close around 4 million shares, a little under in Canada. And I think down in the States, almost 1 million shares traded. So, volume's picking up. And so, I think the market is going to take a while to understand what the implications of this of what the attorney opinion letter means.
So walk through it. Someone is listening for the first time, or they want to get a little bit of better understanding. How would you describe the implications of this?
Well, so for typical title insurance, and because the U.S. is very unique. So in the States, when you buy a house, the person gets title insurance to protect themselves, but they also have to protect the lender. So, and that's about 0.5% each side. So that's 1%. And so, on $1 million home at the upper limit, that's like, what is that, 10 grand? I said I'm dragging my ass today. So $1 million. Yeah, 10 grand. So that's a $10,000 cost. I mean, that's a sizable chunk of change. And so with this title alternative, what it does is, and I'm spitballing because I don't know if they've fully nailed it down, but I think it's around $700. And so that's a significant cost reduction. And so, I think it's going to obviously have significant pickup from the industry. I mean, I don't think anybody would want to pay 10 grand if they can pay $700.
And what about some people are asking, well, isn't this going to cause the insurance companies to lower the premiums on title insurance to, let's say, 700?
Well, I think they don't have that. So part of the thing is that the regulations around title insurance don't allow them to do that. And let's say they do. Let's say they do. Let's be clear. Title insurance is not an efficient platform. I mean, they don't have a strong technological base. So I think they're going to run into regulatory issues for a while because they can't just drop the price, and they're not going to want to. Listen, all the houses above $1 million, they get to insure left, right, and center, right? And it's not in all states right away. So I look at this and go, but at some point, my suspicion is that title insurers are going to want to use this platform. The platform is being available.
Gary was talking about this before on one of the interviews that he would like to. He's open to white labeling it to title companies.
Of course, and I think they're going to want it. At the end of the day, these guys have done nothing. They've had no impetus to streamline or facilitate the process, and facilitate speeding up the process. So I think this is the way I look at this is they've built the platform. There's a change that's allowing this to happen. And I don't think that these guys are going to be able to turn around tomorrow and just start offering it at cheaper prices. And even if they do, their systems aren't as fast as ours are going to be. So I think there's a multitude of moats, process, technology, and cost being the first one. And at the end of the day, I don't think they're going to want to be in the business of. I don't think we're really competing against the title insurance company because right now it's one type of insurance against another type of insurance. And we're providing the technological platform to facilitate the process. And we have patents around the process and the methodologies and the delivery of this. So my goal, I think their goal is for them to go, look, we're the platform that you guys can beat the living crap out of each other on.
Yeah.
So I see it as this is purely a tech play.
Yeah. The whole point of Fannie Mae doing what it's doing is to save the costs and make it more affordable for people to buy a home, and especially the low income Americans. Now, you're saying here that this is only for homes that are over $1 million. How is this help?
up to $1 million.
Oh, up to $1 million. Okay. I thought you said over $1 million. Okay. Thanks for the clarification.
0 to 1 million.
Yeah. And so do you have like a range of values like to Colin? Like how much is AOL worth to Colin?
So the way I'm looking at this is, and I had, so like any technology that gets implemented, like you start up an engine, you're testing out an engine. It's not like you put it on full throttle right out of the gates and see how the thing works and watch it blow up. You turn on the engine. If you've rebuilt the engine, you turn it on turn it on. Does it turn on? Okay, it works. That's step number one. Step number two, add a little gas. Okay, are the seals working? Is the timing right? You're checking all these different things. So, this is a brand new engine and a brand new product, and everybody's going to try it out. So I think what's going to happen is day one, they're going to go very slowly on the implementation. And I think that's also why the regulator said, here, you get 4 states to figure this out. And so I think we're going to see this as a ramp up issue. And I think, it's going to go, let's say 5,000 month 1, 10,000 month 2, 15,000 month 3, end of year 20,000, something along those lines. I don't know. It could be 10,000 month 1, 20,000 month. I don't know the numbers,
and you mean when you're referring to these numbers, you're referring to number of transactions per month.
That's right. Yeah. And so and then right now, I think they're going to do, let's say 700. I don't know how that gets booked. Did we book that all as revenue? Do we act? So sell something, you can act as either principal, i.e., you take possession and you sell it. So I buy. So let's take like an airline booking, right? No one takes possession of the ticket. You're called an agent, right? So you have a ticket agent, and that person sells you that ticket. So they only take in, let's say it's $1,000 ticket, they make 10%. They're only going to bring into revenue $100, right? And so that's booking revenue as an agent. And then principal would be the airline is selling the ticket. They take $1,000, and their first cost that they sell over, they take off $10 right out of the way, but that goes into their cost of goods sold, right? So as part of their marketing, and they may, well, there's a couple of places they can put it, but anyway, that's the way it works. You work as principal or as agent. My guess is the initial ones are all going to be as principal, meaning that they're going to probably book the 700 and have like an 80% gross margin. So I think that'll be reasonably decent. I think as they start to white label and JV, they may just say, you're booking all the revenue as you book the revenue. We're just going to take our fee. So let's say the fee is $200 or $100. I don't know what the price is, but they'll just book it. So my thinking is initially it's around 700. They'll book as principal, and I think at a steady state, this thing can, I think it's 1.2 million transactions happen a month. It might be higher. I don't know exactly, but it's about around 1.2 million. If we get 20%, 30% of that marketplace, initially we'll be doing pretty well. And so let's say 300,000 at $700. That's a lot of dough.
Yeah, but I think I don't think you can do 80% margin on 700 because you got to pay the lawyer, and I think the lawyer will probably take 300.
Yeah, so like I said, I'm just pulling these numbers, but that's why I'm saying they'll probably book it as agent. They won't book it as principal.
Yeah, okay. And another thing is that people don't realize is that. So we quote a certain number of transactions per month, whether it's originations or refis. And I remember when I bought my house, and then interest rates went down after I bought the house, and I was like, let's see if I can refinance it. And I didn't refinance it because of the closing costs. That's it. It was like it's not worth it for me. So if you have somebody like Voxtur that reduces the price of the appraisal, reduces the price of the title insurance, and reduces the entire closing costs, I think this alone will make more people refinance. Just like when we buy and sell stocks, if it costs you $1,000 to sell a stock, you're going to think twice about it. But if it costs you $7, there's going to be more transactions. So I think this entire movement to lower closing costs is going to make people move more and refinance more.
Well, I think refinancing is primarily a function of interest rates, and given that interest rates are on their way back up, at least in the short term, I suspect that refinancing is actually going to be hurt materially for the next.
Yeah, but I mean everything being constant. You see what I mean? Like when the interest rates are favorable for refinancing, lower closing costs will make more people refinance.
100%, yes. All things being equal, ceteris paribus, if before you wouldn't do it because of the transaction costs, now you would do it because of the transaction cost has gone down, then yes, I think in general you're correct. You're going to see refinances happen faster because of this. So the banks will be happy, and there'll be a whole bunch of benefits for this stuff. But going back to it, so let's say it's $300 we get. I don't know what the number is yet, but let's say it's $200. If they do steady state, they're doing 300,000, they get $200.
That's 60 million.
300,000 times 20, so that's 6
times 200.
Yeah, trying to like I said, I was dragging at 60 million a month, and so then 12, so that would be 720 million bucks. But the gross margins on that would be like 90%, 95%. So, and I think that what you're going to see over time is that this is one of those things where once the platform's working, once the operation's working, because we have patents around it, I suspect strongly that will happen initially is that they'll keep the price down and they're just going to want everybody running on it. It's like almost, again, an accidental parallel, but most of the booking systems for flights international, it's like two platforms, I think, that work. It's like Sabre, one other one, maybe it's three, but once the platform's in place and everyone starts using it, then you become the toll road that everybody runs over.
Yeah, no, that's a fantastic analogy. Just one quick question I wanted to ask you before we finish this, because you talk to a lot of investors, uh, large investors. After this AOL got announced, did it are people contacting you? Is this raising a few eyebrows?
Well, I think it's multifold. People are first step was I think what this one in particular is doing is that the desktop appraisal, no one really understood what that meant because it's sort of been half there for a while anyway, right? Like it was half implemented last year, but it was a temporary measure. And so because it was a temporary measure, people didn't invest in it. They didn't change their processes and methodologies as much as they might once they now know that that is now a permanent fixture. You can now do that all the time. So I think the desktop appraisal still hasn't really impacted. I don't think people really understood it. And Voxtur wasn't holding it out as a big milestone. I think that's really more inside baseball if you understood the whole process. I think it's a big deal, but not a lot of people understand. When you look at the AOL, that's a big milestone that they held out, that they discussed, that they made overtures about. You saw the updates in the pitch deck and and if you look at the analyst report, they made reference to it. That this is a milestone of type. And so I think what's happened is that this is a promise made and a promise kept, and they're now hitting milestone after milestone after milestone. Some of the time, some of this stuff that they do is irritating. They said Benutech, for example, in the Q3 call, they said, oh, it's going to close in a few days. Gary said in Q4, and they close it on the last day of Q4. I mean, that was just irritating beyond all measure. But they did the thing, and it happened in Q4. And I think, then Jim made mention of, oh, we're going to have some client wins. Well, they had a client win, but they couldn't announce the damn thing. So that, is frustrated. And I think there's probably other stuff happening in the background that we're not aware of yet because they haven't either been able to discuss it or they don't, it'll start showing up in numbers. So, with this particular one, they held it out. They said it was going to happen, and it's happened. And, that's a big, and this isn't like talking about some small thing. This has not happened in 75 years. So people's understanding of this, like when they say something like this is going to happen, I think this gives them a lot of credence amongst a lot of the investing community that something so big that they said was going to happen, that I think there were a lot of people not thinking it was going to happen. And it happened. I think that just gives them a huge amount of credibility. And you'll notice the day the thing announced, the website's up and launching and ready to go, meaning, they've because the regulator probably had to prepare the marketplace, saying that, we're going to start taking these things. So my guess is it's going to take a little while to ramp and the first real live going live with first clients will probably happen soon. I don't know exactly when, but I would expect soon. Um, and and so I think that the institutional investors are going to take big notice of this.
Yeah, I mean, look,
because of that.
look, the numbers that you were tentatively kind of just throwing out there. I mean, based on, the possibility, uh, $700 million of revenue translates into about 650 of gross profit. That most of it would flow to the bottom line because we have expenses covered. Like, I mean, to me, it's like this AOL is worth minimum of 6 to 15 or 20 billion dollars. Like, that's how mind-boggling
Yeah,
this is.
yeah. So there's a whole bunch of different things about how you look at that type of stuff. The more distributed it is, the more installed it is, the hard, like, it's a bit like, it's like these travel, these software packages that are owned. Uh, the amount of money you would have to spend to buy that, because the duration of that asset, right? The long life of that asset and the client is measured in decades. And so this platform, early days, patents around it, likely already have clients prepared to go on it. As they started stalling this, and a lot of people keep thinking, oh, that they're going up against the title insurers. They're going to be the same users of this damn thing. This is just becoming the platform that everybody books the stupid stuff with. It has all the processes and the ability to ensure that there's that is being done and is compliant. And so I look at this and go, that type of asset, because listen, if you say, okay, I don't have visibility beyond 5 years or 10 years, you pay one price. But if you say, oh, I've got visibility for the next 50 years, you pay a different price. And so this type of thing getting installed is not going to have a short shelf life. This is the type of stuff that gets built. It's like railroad tracks, right? Like once they're put in place, now people trying to get railroad rights is an almost impossibility. So I see this as technological railroad tracks, and what we're witnessing right now is the building of a rail.
Yeah, that's very well said. Well, thank you very much, Colin, for your time.
Yeah, no problem. Good talking to you. Take care. Bye-bye.